let's get into some players who are actually realistically couldn't move teams in the next couple of weeks. We're getting into the end of training camp. It is cut week. All rosters must be cut down to 53 players by this Saturday. There are a lot of trades that are going to happen this week, whether small or large. So let's go through 5 players who could be traded at the end of training camp here. Let's start at number 5 with Demaryius Thomas. Now, this is a rumor that was brought up by Pro Football Talk's Mike Florio that has been minorly debunked, saying that there is no possibility to it. But we've also heard, we have one rumor for one rumor. So there's as much of a possibility that it's going to happen as there is that it's not going to happen. Now, it makes sense. In theory, it really does, because Demaryius Thomas is on a massive contract going into this season, and the Broncos have a lot of great young wide receivers on this team. We know how Emmanuel Sanders can play when he's healthy. Courtland Sutton has looked fantastic in the preseason. He's still pretty raw, but I think he's a good player to develop. Deshaun Hamilton, who they also drafted out of Penn State, has looked good as well. Now, Carlos Henderson is another question. They drafted him in the second round last year. No one has any idea what's going to end up happening with him. But with Demaryius Thomas, it would make a lot of sense for the Broncos to end up moving on from him. It would. They don't like paying those guys. They've cut multiple defensive players over the past couple of years because they're paying them too much money. I could totally see the Broncos moving on from Demaryius Thomas if they deem that their wide receiver core is going to be just fine without him. Now, I don't think it'd be very smart to trade away the best wide receiver on your team while you're trying to kind of break in a new quarterback in Case Keenum, but I still think it's possible that with how Demaryius Thomas has been, we made a comment about the anthem. We know how the NFL owners have been with all these guys talking about the anthem. I think there is some legitimate backing to Demaryius Thomas maybe getting traded. And as you saw with the 4 teams I brought up, Patriots, the Redskins, the Seahawks, the Saints, all teams looking for wide receivers right now. Demaryius Thomas is a way better option for the Patriots to go after than the likes of Dez Bryant. I think the Redskins would be a good place for him as well. They need a true number 1 wide receiver. The Seahawks need as much talent as they possibly can get on that offense. And the Saints have been hunting for an outside wide receiver, though they do have a couple young guys on the outside that I think are going to pique their interest a little bit more than an expensive Demaryius Thomas. But for now, keep an eye out for some trade rumors around him. I don't think he'll end up getting moved, but it is something that is swirling as of right now. Our number 4 player that could be traded as training camp comes to a close, it's Khalil Mack. We are sitting here today, ladies and gentlemen, it is August 27th. It's August 27th. And the best, if not the second best player in the NFL, or defensive player in the NFL, is not with his team right now because they won't pay him. Out of anyone in the NFL, I can understand not paying veterans. I can understand not paying running backs, whatever, positional versatility, this and that. If there's one player on your team that you want to pay, it's the 24, 25, 26-year-old player who's not even in his prime yet, who's already won a Defensive Player of the Year award. Isn't that the guy who you want to pay? Isn't that the dude who you're cutting veterans for in order to have enough money to give an extension to? It makes no sense what the Raiders are trying to play here. And it also doesn't make sense how John Gruden has been talking about Khalil Mack recently. He's just shutting him off. Oh, he's not here, whatever. It wouldn't even matter if he was here. I don't believe in treating star players like they're babies, but I also don't believe that if you're a new NFL head coach who hasn't coached in the NFL for a decade to come in and all of a sudden start crapping on the best player on the team. It's not a good look. That really isn't. That's a terrible look for how John Gruden wants to start his Raiders tenure. And if you go through the Raiders message boards, you go through our YouTube videos here, Oakland Raiders Report given to us by the lovely Mitchell Renz, Raiders fans don't want Khalil Mack traded. They don't. Why would you want to trade him? It makes absolutely no sense. Just pay the man. Now we're hearing that they might trade him to the New York Jets. The Packers are going to get Khalil Mack. This is what happens when stupid teams do stupid things. The Green Bay Packers are one of those teams that love it when stupid teams do stupid things. And it would be stupid for the Raiders to trade away Khalil Mack. Pay the man. Pay him. There's no, what's going to happen? What is going to happen if you don't pay Khalil Mack? Your defense goes from one of the worst units in the NFL last season to maybe the worst unit in the NFL this season. They have no other elite talent on that defense. They don't. It would be one of the biggest mistakes of the NFL of any NFL offseason over the past couple of years would be trading Khalil Mack. Please don't trade him to the Jets. The Jets don't deserve Khalil Mack. He's fine on the Raiders. Pay the man his money, and whatever you do, do not trade Khalil Mack. That is something that they will regret for years to come. One thing that you won't regret, though, is buying yourself a Mizzen & Main shirt. I want to thank them for clothing all of us lovely men here at Chat Sports. Head to www.comfortable.af to get your Mizzen & Main shirt today. The most comfortable button-down shirts anywhere. And they don't only have that. They have some other great shirts as well, other apparel, hats. They have great 3-button shirts as well, long-sleeve T-shirts. Everything that you could want in terms of male clothing, Mizzen & Main has it. Head to comfortable.af to get your shirt today. Let's go to our number 3 player. We talked about him at nauseum on NFL Daily, and it's Earl Thomas. Can we just trade him already? Can the Seahawks just trade Earl Thomas? Everyone, I think, is just sick of this situation. When he does end up getting traded, it's going to be so anticlimactic. And that's what's so disappointing about this, because he is still one of the best defensive players in the NFL. He is. I would take Earl Thomas on my team any day. But the problem is, do you really want to pay that guy the amount of money that he wants? I talked about paying Aaron Donald. I talked about paying Khalil Mack. Unfortunately, Earl Thomas is at the age of NFL defensive players where they kind of start losing their edge a little bit, and you just aren't sure what the long-term outlook is for their career. With Earl Thomas, how much money do you really want to pay him on a full extension? How much money are you going to want to put on a 29, 30-year-old safety who had issues with his last team, who, mind you, also is now going to be a part of the... I'm not saying that Earl Thomas is not the reason why the Seahawks defense was so great. He was. He was arguably the best player on one of the best defenses ever. But what's he going to be like away from that? What's he going to be like in a new system? What's he going to be like on a new team? Is he still going to be the same player? We've seen so many players, elite players, switch teams, and the systems just don't work out. Now, it does work out the other way around. Eric Weddle was cut by the Chargers, picked up by the Ravens, still maintained to be one of the best safeties in the NFL. But if you're a team looking to trade Earl Thomas, are you really willing to trade the assets that it's going to take to get him, but also give him the massive contract extension that he's going to want? So let me know in the comment section below. Will the Seahawks trade Earl Thomas? Give me a Y for yes. Give me an N for no. I say no. I mean, the Seahawks have all the leverage right now. They don't have to trade him. They don't have to give him a new contract extension. They can just wait. They've already said that they're retooling for this season. They have to know that they aren't going to be very good. I think they're going to hold on to him, and they're going to try to come to a conclusion with this. But for now, just be wary. But I will say this. The Cowboys are dealing with some injuries in that secondary, so maybe a little bit more pressure on Dallas to possibly make a move for Earl Thomas. Let's get to our next player here. It's someone who Tom Downey has been screaming from the rooftops to trade over the past couple of months. It's Ameer Abdullah, the running back for the Detroit Lions. Former second-round pick, has not lived up to that draft stock. He's fallen to fourth on that depth chart. Fourth. Definitely needs a change of scenery. It's time for him to get out of Detroit. He still has a lot of talent. I still think he could be a good change of pace back for the Lions, but as of right now, there just doesn't really seem to be a future for him in Detroit. LeGarrette Blount looks to be taking over the primary running back first and second down duties. Theo Riddick is one of the better third down running backs in the NFL. They drafted Kerryon Johnson in the draft this past season, so it kind of tells me they don't have a lot of faith in Ameer Abdullah. I mean, he fumbles too much. He hasn't really been effective. His yards per carry is terrible. So I think Ameer Abdullah needs to find another home. I think the Buffalo Bills would actually be a great landing spot for Ameer Abdullah. He can sit behind LaShawn McCoy. I don't really think they have a great running back depth chart right now. I think he could come in, be a good, not necessarily a change of pace back, because him and Shady, obviously Shady is one of the best running backs in the NFL, but Ameer Abdullah has kind of a similar running style, but very quick in and out kind of runners. I think he'd be a good backup to LaShawn McCoy, considering that McCoy has been one of the more injury-prone running backs in the NFL over the past couple of seasons. I think the Texans would be a good landing spot for him as well. Lamar Miller is incredibly average. We have no idea when Donta Foreman is going to end up being back. John Kelly's been great for the Rams, but I think Abdullah would be another good option for them. And then the Miami Dolphins, I am not on the Kenyon Drake train. I'm really not. And Frank Gore has to break down eventually, right? Like, he has to stop being Frank Gore at some point. Maybe Ameer Abdullah can be that second or third string running back for the Miami Dolphins. I'm sure you guys could kind of figure who the number one guy is, because he's kind of been the number one trade target for every quarterback needy team in the preseason right now. It's Teddy Bridgewater. Now, it seems like the Jets want to give Sam Darnold the starting spot. I don't agree with that. I think that's a terrible decision because their offensive line, holy cow, man. Between the Bills, the Texans, and the Jets, they are hosting a how to not play offensive line in the NFL clinic. It is disgusting how bad their offensive lines are. Sam Darnold is going to get killed. Josh Allen is already dealing with a possible concussion because the Buffalo Bills offensive line is that bad. Now, I'm not saying throw Teddy Bridgewater into the fire saying, ha, you can take all the hits, but if they really want to start Sam Darnold, then allow Teddy Bridgewater to go make an actual run at a starting spot somewhere else. Blake Bortles has looked horrible this preseason. The Jaguars should absolutely make a run at Teddy Bridgewater. Dolphins have no idea what they're getting out of Ryan Tannehill. They should make a run at Teddy Bridgewater. Have a guy that just in case Bridgewater is bad, or just in case Tannehill is bad, they can bring in Bridgewater to back him up. I have the Dallas Cowboys at number 3. Obviously not coming in to start. Man, they need a backup quarterback bad. Their backups last night looked absolutely terrible, as quoted by the great Tom Downey on YouTube Live last night during the Cowboys watch party. Go check out his Twitter as well. Not looking great for the Cowboys backup quarterbacks. Then I have the Houston Texans on there as well. I think that if you're them and you're kind of, with the Deshaun Watson injury, you're not really sure how healthy he's going to be when he comes back, Bridgewater would be a great guy to have behind him just in case he has lingering issues from that ACL tear. Remember, this is not his first issue with an ACL tear. This is his third ACL tear for Deshaun Watson. So you got to watch out for what that knee injury is going to do. Once, you're probably all right. That's just modern day science. Twice, you're really starting to get into some problems. 3 times, I don't know. It will be interesting to see if Deshaun Watson can come back as the same player. Want to thank Autolist for sponsoring the Cam Rogers Show today, coming along with us on this lovable Monday. Are you looking for a used or new car? Tired of browsing a million sites? Go to Autolist.com to browse the largest source of inventory on their web, or download their top-rated mobile app for iPhone or Android. I actually have their app. I'm usually perusing some cars. I want to buy myself a nice Chevy Camaro. I love Chevy Camaros. I've wanted them my entire life. Autolist has given me some great deals as I continue to look for my new car. Download their top-rated mobile app for iPhone or Android today. Before we head out of here, guys, I just wanted to give my condolences to the families of the 4 people who died yesterday in Jacksonville during the Madden tournament. As someone who plays a lot of video games myself, it is so disheartening to see what happened yesterday. Video games are supposed to be an escape for a lot of people, a way to ignore a lot of the evil that's going on in their lives. And for something like that to happen at a tournament, especially by a competitor of that tournament, he lost and ended up shooting up the place. It was a really bad look. So my condolences to the families. But that's going to do it for the Cam Rogers Show today. I'll be back here on Wednesday. But for now, we'll see you.